ينشر الهدي إيمانا وموعظة فبالجهالة قد خابت مساعينا. غابت مناقبنا واسود حاضرنا غابت مناقبنا واسود حاضرنا وأوشك اليأس أن يغشى أمانينا.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum. Welcome to another edition of the Sulaiman RAVAT show. My name is Sulaiman RAVAT and I am very pleased to be in your company once again this Friday evening. For the last few weeks, when I commenced the program, I've been talking about how cold it is. Well, alhamdulillah, this afternoon it was nice and warm, wasn't it? I was traveling with the wife and we were coming to Midrand, which is very close to where the ITV studios are. She wanted to pop in somewhere before I came here to the studios for the evening program, and it was nice and warm, and I was looking at the thermometer in the car and it was in the high 20s and it was like a summer's day. At some point I actually had to on the AC with the cool function just for a short while. Obviously towards the evening it kind of like gets a bit nippy, a bit chilly. We're still in August. And before you start packing away those heavy duty jackets, remember almost every year, winter still has to make bye-bye. Winter still has to make al-wida. So what will happen is that there will be that cold front towards the end of August, even beginning of September, that one last cold front that will knock you just when you think that we've seen the worst of the cold for the year, and then you can say, okay, spring is in. Nonetheless, it's a live program this evening. We're coming to you live from our studios in Sunninghill. Here in Johannesburg. I hope all our viewers in Cape Town are doing well. The Jor is taking place there this weekend. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala make it a success. I hope all our viewers in Durban are keeping well as well. If it was a warm sunny day this afternoon here in Joburg, it must have been a brilliant day. It must have been an absolutely brilliant day in Durban. Durban is best in winter, isn't it? Because in summer, for us, Gautengers, as they would say, or previously they would say Transvaalers, Durban is very humid in December, although more people go there in December because more people take their leave in December. I always prefer to go on holiday to Durban in the June-July holidays. Now it's a bit difficult because of Ramadan, etc. But that's the time when the Gautengers go to Durban and it's like summer weather. You know, you don't need to even use a jacket. You run away from the cold of Gauteng and Joburg. But the Durban people, naturally for them it would be a bit cold. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, it's a long weekend, right? Monday is a public holiday, Women's Day. Let's acknowledge our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, but every day is Women's Day. And remember, Islam emancipated women from the slavery of Jahiliyyah, and the rights that Islam has given women, well, no one else can give women. In Islam, let's understand this very clearly. In Islam, men and women are equal but not identical. They are equal but not identical. Allah says in the Quran, من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. Whoever does good deeds, whether you are male or female and you are a believer, so two things, you are a believer and you do good deeds. It's irrespective whether you are male or female. فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. Allah says, I will grant you a good life in this world. I will make you live a happy life. ولنجزينهم أجرهم بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون. And when it comes to the year after, I will grant you the reward of the best that you used to do. So in terms of being human beings, men and women are equal. In terms of being servants of Allah, they are equal. In terms of being Muslims, they are equal. In terms of their fundamental human rights, religious rights, emotional rights, men and women are equal. They have equal opportunity. If a man performs 2 rakats of salah, no one says he gets double the reward as compared to when a woman performs 2 rakats of salah. They are equal. If there's a brother and sister, if the sister is more pious, she will get greater reward. She will supersede her brother and have a higher rank in Jannah. It's not to say that because he's the brother, automatically he would excel and he would supersede the sister. No. But there's always a system. There's always a system. Like if you're the president of the country, you are senior, superior, whatever word you want to use it, because sometimes we get too bogged down by semantics. You are senior, you are superior to the vice president. The vice president is senior, is superior, he has a rank over the ministers. The ministers have a rank over the deputy ministers. So there's a system, and Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has created a particular system. So financially, men have more responsibility. That's why, for example, men get double the inheritance. So some people look at it and they say, well, لِذَكَرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنْثَيَيْنِ. It's a verse of the Quran. A man will get double that of a woman in terms of inheritance. Oh, this is not fair. Oh, this is gender bias. Oh, this is prejudice based on gender, discrimination based on gender. You see, one is, gender equality and the other is gender absurdity. The other is where you try and make a woman more of a man and acknowledge her because she's becoming more of a man. Men and women are equal but not identical. It's obvious. Even if you don't believe in Allah, and if you don't believe in any religion, and if you don't believe in the teachings of Islam, men and women are equal. You can see it in their physique, in their makeup, in their physical functions, in their emotional state. It's not to say that the one is better than the other. That's why they're not identical, but they're equal. And they're meant to play a complementary role, not a competitive role. You do not say that a woman is free and you judge her freedom by how much she can ape a man. No. A woman is independent and unique in her own right. And similar, you don't judge a man by how much he can be like a woman. That's why I say there's a big difference between gender equality and gender absurdity. And many times in the name of gender equality, it's actually you're pursuing gender absurdity. You're trying to make a woman like a man. And the more she becomes like a man, the more you acknowledge her. And there's a lot of double standards. If a woman decides to stay at home and to look after her husband, to look after her children, to look after the people that she loves, to serve them, to feed them, to entertain them, society looks at that woman and say, whoa, you see, backward, marginalized, ruled by men. But that same woman, if she decides to become an air hostess, and in a very narrow space of an aircraft, she walks up and down, that's her career. And I'm in no way trivializing it or, being derogatory. I'm just trying to, draw an analogy here. She walks up and down a narrow aisle and she's serving people she doesn't love, she doesn't care, she doesn't know. Tea, coffee, chicken, beef. That woman is liberated. But that same woman, if she decides to do the same thing at home, to serve tea and coffee to people that she loves, and to do what she wants to do without any duress and without any force, then why should society frown upon that woman? Obviously, when it comes to women's rights, there's been a lot of cultural baggage. A lot of things which had to do more with culture, Indian culture, Malay culture, African culture, that was brought into the deen and that was made to be part of the deen when it was not. And over a period of time, those things have been rectified. And that's the nature of things, These innovations creep in, these foreign things creep in, and then we need to remove them, we need to eradicate them. There is that process of self-correction that takes place. So indeed, women need to be given due recognition, women need to be given due acknowledgement. And look at Islam. Jannah is under the feet of your mother. 3 times the Prophet ﷺ talks about the mother, then he talks about the father. Look at the status of a man who brings up his daughters. Look at how the Quran talks so glowingly about daughters, condemns those people who did not want to have daughters. يَتَوَارَى مِنَ الْقَوْمِ مِنْ سُوءِ مَا بُشَّرَ بِهِ أَيُمْسِكُهُ عَلَى هُونٍ أَمْ يَدُسُّهُ فِي التُّرَابِ أَلَا سَاءَ مَا يَحْكُمُونَ, referring to the Meccan society. The Prophet ﷺ used to tell the men, خَيْرُكُمْ لِنِسَائِهِمْ. The best of you are those who are the best to their women folk. The best of you are those who are the best to their women folk. But yes, that's it's a very deep and it's a very multifaceted discussion. But suffice to say, in Islam, men and women are created equal but not identical. It's about complementing each other, not competing with each other. And in certain structures, the man has been given added responsibility, hence he has been given greater authority. And these are verses of the Quran Kareem. وَلِلرِّجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةً الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. But that authority is by no means a license to in any way abuse, to in any way marginalize, to in any way not include or not consult his wife, to in any way not exchange ideas, to in any way not accommodate her views and her preferences. Like there are systems in the corporate world, in the political world, in the military, where there has to be a rank and there has to be a particular position held by one person so that there is system. Similarly, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has created system in this in a marriage and system within the home. And that's where, certain teachings fit in. Those teachings should not be seen as chauvinistic, waliyadu billah, or as misogynistic. I'm not saying that there aren't Muslim men who are misogynistic. There There are definitely Muslim men who are chauvinistic, who are chauvinist, and we should deal with that, and we should eradicate that. And women's rights need to be emphasized, and women's rights need to be spoken about. But in the end of the day, we need to understand one thing, that it's all about balance. So in the name of women's rights and in the name of gender equality, we should not end up advocating gender absurdity. May Allah Ta'ala grant us the understanding. Well, there's a lot that we have lined up for this evening's discussion. We will have our hadith discussion. I want to talk about parents. We will discuss a number of hadith pertaining to that. Today we commence with the tafsir of Surah At-Teen. We've already discussed Surah Ad-Duha, and we have discussed Surah Inshirah, Alam Nashrah Laka Sadrak, and then we discuss Surah At-Teen, Wat-Tini Waz-Zaytun. And after that, we have our feature, The Rules of Life. Previously we said, keep it under your head. Don't divulge too much of what's happening in your life, both positive and negative, to too many people. Today we talk about what's done, it's done. What's done is done. You need to move on. What's done is done. You need to move on. And then around 9 p.m., I want to open the lines again. And I'm hoping again for good interaction. Last week, I only realized after the program, the reason we didn't have calls in the first 5 or 6 minutes was there was some sort of technical difficulty. But hopefully this week, there won't be any difficulty, inshallah. Inshallah. Say inshallah out there, viewers, as well. The question I have this morning, once again we had shenanigans in Parliament. Ding dong between Malema and Zuma, Malema telling Zuma, but when are you going to pay back the money? When are you going to pay back the money? Leave all that stories. Leave all that stories. When are you going to pay back the money? The date and the process. That's what he wanted to know. And as there was analysis and all of those kind of things around the issue, I just get wondering, are South Africans optimistic about the future of the country? And that's my question for this evening. Start thinking about it now. At around 9 p.m. or so, we'll open the lines. I want to hear from you that, are you positive? Are you optimistic about the future of this country, and why? So if you answer yes or no, I would like a why. It's good to understand why people think what they think, even if everyone doesn't agree with the other one. So I'm hoping for good interaction about on that topic, inshallah, just after the 9 o'clock news bulletin. No, there's no news bulletin, but just after 9 o'clock, we will move on to the question. And prior to that, as I said, our hadith discussion, tafsir discussion, and rules of life. Okay, before we go for the break, let me remind you that the email address will flash on the screen, as well as the Twitter handle, Facebook details. Do communicate with us, give us your feedback, and when we open the lines, then the open line number will also appear on your screen. Welcome back. I move straight now into our hadith discussion, and I want to talk today about the rights of a father. The right of a father. The first hadith we talk about is from Tirmidhi. عن أبي الدرداء رضي الله عنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول الوالد أوسط أبواب الجنة فإن شئت فأضع ذلك الباب أو احفظه رواه الترمذي. Abu Darda radiallahu anhu narrates, I heard the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam saying, a father is the best gate of the gates of paradise. So it is up to you. Either you lose that gate or you protect it. Meaning, your goal in life is to enter Jannah. Your goal in life is to secure entry into paradise. How are you going to do that? There are different ways of doing it. But one of the best ways of securing your entry into Jannah, if you want to enter a town, there are different gates, there are different options. But one of the best options is by the gate that your father symbolizes. Meaning, if your father is happy with you, you'll be granted entry into Jannah, into paradise. If your father is not happy with you, you could be deprived of entry into Jannah. You could be deprived of entry into Jannah. So keep in mind that your father is the conduit through which you came into existence. You came from the back of your father. Your sustenance was provided in many instances primarily by the father. So Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has taken care of you through your father, and you owe a deep debt and a great debt to your father. And the father provides many functions and many roles in terms of the stability of the family sector. So you have a right, you have an obligation rather to respect your father, to honor your father, to take care of your father, to look after his needs. The next hadith I want to discuss, also from Tirmidhi, and Abdullah ibn Amr radiyallahu anhuma عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال رضا الرب في رضا الوالد وسخط الرب في سخط الوالد. Allah's pleasure is in the father's pleasure, and Allah's displeasure lies in the father's displeasure. If your father is happy with you, Allah is happy with you. If your father is unhappy with you, Allah is unhappy with you. Let's just pause for a moment and think, reflect. Is my father happy with me? Is my father happy with me? Yes, if you are doing that which Allah wants you to do and that is displeasing to Him, then that's fine. Because you give preference to the pleasure of Allah over the pleasure of any other human. But besides that, is my father happy with me? My success, my eternal success hinges on that. My entry into Jannah hinges on that. Is my father happy with me? It's a question we need to ask ourselves. And if not, whilst he's still alive, I can remedy it. If he has passed on, I can remedy it by honoring him. By honoring him, how? We turn to this next hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إن أبر البر صلة الولد أهل ود أبيه رواه Muslim. The finest act of righteousness for a son is to treat his late father's friends kindly. One of the greatest things you can do to honor your father after he's passed on is to be good to his friends. Now, many times what would happen is there would be a generational gap. Your father would be a good 20, 30, 35 years older than you, and his friends will be then a good 20, 25, 30 years older than you, depending. But in most instances, they would. So sometimes we'd find it difficult. I mean, for a son to go and relax and chillax and chat away with his father's friend, it may not gel all that well because of the generational gap. Illa mashallah, with a few exceptions here and there where you do see a junior and a senior getting along very well. I mean, there's one scholar, in case that I won't take his name, but he's probably the age of my father. But he's got such a pleasant personality and he's such a jovial spirit that when him and I talk, you would think to yourself, you would to hear the conversation and not see the faces and not know who the person is behind the voice, you would actually think that these are two friends of a similar age. The degree of informality, but those are exceptions. Nonetheless, it doesn't mean now that you have to take your father's friend and make him your own friend and chat with him and those kind of things in the way you would do with your own friend. But it means you must acknowledge him. Go visit him from time to time. Go and see if he needs your assistance in any way. Go see if he needs your help in any way. Go see if you could be of service to him out of acknowledgement of your father's relationship with that person. And one more hadith I want to discuss in this regard from Ibn Hibban. And Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول من أحب أن يصل أباه في قبره فليصل إخوان أبيه بعده. Whoever wants to or whoever likes to maintain bonds of kinship with his father after his father has gone to the grave, he should treat his father's brothers kindly after the demise of his father. Remember that many times families tend to drift after the demise of the father especially. Sometimes what would happen, the mother would be at odds with the father's side of the family, so she would steer the children in the direction of her own family. Sometimes what would happen is, just because the father is no longer there, the father's family show neglect and the father's family don't show interest and the father's family don't play their part. But we should try and guard against this, because this hadith tells us that the best way to maintain relations with your father after he's passed on is by maintaining relations with his brothers, meaning by maintaining relations with his blood relatives after he has passed on. Remember that this is my father's family. I need to keep in touch with them. I need to be of service to them. I need to interact with them. I need to socialize with them. I need to be cordial with them. Obviously, if they don't want to reciprocate and if they are being very difficult and if it's leading to more turmoil and difficulty, then you consult with scholars, and this is a different circumstance. It's an exception. But what this hadith emphasizes is very important. Don't allow yourself to drift after the demise of the father. Keep the memory of your father alive by keeping the relationship with your father's family strong and sustained. So those were a few ahadith pertaining to parents in general and father in specific. Next week we'll discuss a few more that talk about parents in general, and the week thereafter we will talk about mothers in general. But remember, in the end of the day, this is a critical thing. I don't want to go into a lengthy discourse about it, because one of the topics that is most spoken about is about parents. Parents will feel it's not spoken about enough, and children will feel that it's spoken about too often. But remember, this issue of parents is not only relevant to teenagers. Even middle-aged people do not respect their elderly parents. Sometimes a 50-year-old man does not respect his 75-year-old mother. He may be a grandfather himself, but he's not showing his mother the respect that she deserves. He's not showing her the treatment that she deserves. Remember, you're not doing your parents a favor. It's your duty. It's your responsibility. And you will have to account before Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. May Allah grant us the understanding. Welcome back. We move on to our Tafseer segment, and you are watching this program live from our studios in Sunninghill this Friday morning. Friday evening rather. The reason I get confused between Friday morning and Friday evening is because those who know, I have a radio program weekdays during the morning. So I get so used to saying this Friday morning and Thursday morning because that's what I do 5 days a week, 3 hours a day between 6 and 9. But it's Friday evening. It's good to be Friday evening because it means the weekend has started. And in this instance, it means the long weekend has started. I'm off on Monday, so I mean, really, it's a long weekend. I've been looking forward to it. Anyway, we completed before Ramadan the tafsir of Surah Al-Duha and Surah Inshirah. That's Surah Alam Nashrah Laka Sadrak. Remember, I'm trying to do tafsir of those surahs of the Quran Al-Kareem which we recite or we listen to its recitation often so that we have a greater familiarity with the meaning and a greater appreciation when we recite it or when it is recited. Surah Teen is the surah of the teen is fig, and we'll talk more about that next week. Why Allah Ta'ala makes reference to the fig and to the olive in the opening verse of this chapter, of this surah of the Quran Al-Kareem. It's a Makki surah, I've explained this previously. When the Mufassirin say that this is a Makki surah, what they mean in reality is that this surah was revealed in Makkah. There were two periods to the Prophet ﷺ's prophethood. The Makki period and the Madani period, the Meccan period and the period after immigration, after Hijrah to Medina. There are two major themes in this surah. The first is Allah's bestowing of honor to mankind. Allah's bestowing of honor to mankind. And the second is belief in the fact that we will have to account for our deeds before Allah Ta'ala. Belief in the fact that we will have to account for our deeds before Allah Ta'ala. Now, if we look at what Allah Ta'ala does in the starting of this surah, Allah takes an oath by various things. And in reality, we'll unpack this. Obviously, today I'm just doing a bit of a prologue. I'm just doing a bit of an introduction. Once we go into the verses itself, then we will talk about the meanings of these different oaths. وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَطُورِ سِينِينَ وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. But the crux of it is this, that Allah Ta'ala is taking an oath by the sanctified lands, Masjid al-Aqsa, as well as Makkah al-Mukarramah and the Mount of Tur. So Allah takes these oaths on these sanctified lands. And what does Allah say after all of this? لَقَدْ خَلَقَنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have created man in the most beautiful of forms, in the most unique of appearances. So Allah takes these series of oaths on very sanctified lands to drive home the point and to make the point that, oh human being, you are the masterpiece of Allah's creation. Oh human being, you are the greatest of Allah's creation. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. So we should appreciate the fact that Allah Ta'ala has created us from the best of people, the best of His creation. Allah Ta'ala has blessed us. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Then in the second half of the surah, Allah Ta'ala talks about how man has been elevated to Ashraful Makhluqat, the best of Allah's creation. But because he's been granted that by Allah, he's this intellect that makes him superior to all the creation of Allah. If he does not obey Allah, ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. We make him fall to the lowest of the lowest pit in the hellfire. Man is on the highest pedestal, but he can drop to the lowest of the low if he does not live a life in the obedience of Allah Ta'ala. And then towards the concluding part of this surah, Allah Ta'ala rebukes those people who don't believe in the hereafter, who don't believe in the fact that they will have to account for their deeds. And Allah then reminds them in the concluding verse, in the 8th verse of the surah, أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِأَحْكَمِ الْحَاكِمِينَ. أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِأَحْكَمِ الْحَاكِمِينَ. Is Allah not the best of all judges? Is Allah Ta'ala not the greatest of all judges? Remember, you will have to stand before Allah and justice will prevail. You will have to stand before Allah and justice will prevail. So this is a brief overview of Surah Teen. From next week, inshallah, every day or every week rather, we'll do a verse or a few verses and unpack it slowly, so that we can take it a few small dosages and bites at a time. Let's understand, let's have a fervor, let's have a desire to learn more about the Quran, about the message of Allah to His creation. When we come back from the break, inshallah, we will be opening the lines. My question this evening, are you optimistic about the future of this country? Are you optimistic? Are you positive about the future of South Africa? And why? Why? That's the key point. We will be opening the lines when we come back, inshallah. Lovely pictures of pickles there in the adverts, eh? I haven't had supper yet. I had a good lunch with the Imam of Masjid al-Aqsa. He came to our masjid in Lenasia in Nurul Islam for Jummah Salah. So what a lunch, what a spread. One of our good friends there put out for us a good blend between the Indian cuisine and the Arab cuisine. So you had your hummus and you had, those big platters with those kind of foods. And then you had the in-between foods. It would go both ways, like the Bukhari plow and the dry chicken and chops. And then you had the out-and-out Indian style dal and rice. And I had two Indians sitting next to me. To my right, I had a person who owns a pizza joint in Lens, and he said, hey, I need my dal and rice. I'm an Indian through and through. Friday without dal and rice is like, no, it didn't gel. And to my left, I had an elderly gentleman, also well known in Lenasia. He just recently got married. He lost his wife last year. He's well in his 70s, and he also wanted his dal and rice. But me, being from the younger generation, I kind of like straddled. I kind of like sat on the fence. I enjoyed first the Arab cuisine, enjoyed the hummus and, those different breads that go with it and the different side dishes. And after that, tucked into a little bit of dal and rice because you become accustomed to that, right? There's nothing wrong with that as long as we don't make it part of deen. People have their different cuisines and their different routines and their different habits based on the background that they come from and based on the cultures that they come from. But it's good in the end of the day, as long as we all understand that which trumps all of that and prevails over all of that is what's in the heart. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Right, we're moving towards discussion time. And I'm just going to, before I do the feature, the rules of life, it's a very short feature. So I want to open the lines before I go there so that the calls can be lined up. And just to remind you about the question. The question is this: are you optimistic about the future of South Africa? Are you optimistic about the future of this country? If you say yes, I want to know why. If you say no, I want to know why. Let's discuss. The lines are open: 011 086 7777. 011 086 7777. The lines are open. Whilst we wait for our callers to come on and for our studio operators to line up the callers, let me quickly take you through this week's rule of life. What's done is done. You have to move on. That's the rule. What's done is done. You have to move on. You see, many times in life, people do bad things to us. In most instances, it's perhaps not deliberate. In some instances, it is. But either way, if it wasn't deliberate, look, it happened. It happened, right? It happened and you need to move on. And even if it was deliberate, you have to choose to forgive that person. If you don't choose to forgive that person, you can claim from that person on the day of Qiyamah. But if you forgive that person, not for that person to reciprocate or to acknowledge, but for the pleasure of Allah, you'll get much more on the day of Qiyamah. So even to forgive plays in your favor. But whatever you do, do not in any way allow for whatever has happened to you to become emotional acid, to burn you up from within, to burn you and to hurt you and to consume you from within. Things can happen to you because of two reasons. Either because someone has done or not done something, or because you have done or not done something. But in both instances, what's done is done. You have to move on. People who live in the past, they don't progress. You may have been the victim of the greatest injustice. But at some point, you have to get up, dust yourself off and move. Madiba is an example, right? Look at Madiba, 27 years in jail. But when he came out, did he say, 27 years, now I'm going to take you to task. I want you to listen about what I went through in those 27 years. No. It was done, it was done. No one says that, lessons mustn't be learned or people mustn't be taken to task. But he himself decided to move on. And he was able to take a country with him and to move on. So in life, we also need to learn that lesson. It's a very important thing. The future rewards those people who keep on moving. The future rewards those people who keep on moving. Those people, who always stagnate in the past. Why did this happen to me? Why did they do that to me? Why didn't I know this better? That's why our deen tells us, don't open the door of if. Look, you learn from the past, you become a better person and you move. You becoming a wonderful person is not going to happen only if wonderful things happen to you. You become a great person when you are able to deal with those difficulties and challenges. You are able to pick yourself up and move on. That's this week's rule of life. May Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala grant us the understanding. Okay, the lines are open. I see that the first caller is already there. Let me remind you with regards to the number. Very easy. 011 086 7777. 011 086 7777. Our question for this evening's interaction: are you optimistic about the future of South Africa and why? Let's go to our first caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, caller, you are live on air.
Wa alaikum salam.
And who am I speaking to this evening?
You're speaking to Brother Farouk.
From?
Bedford View.
Okay, talk to me, Brother Farouk. What's on your mind? How would you answer this question? Are you optimistic, yes or no?
Yes, I'm optimistic about the future of South Africa, Maulana.
And why is that?
First of all, as Muslims, we have to be optimistic about the future of this country. Because first, we have our Iman, our faith in Allah. We are believers of the kalima, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. And we have the greatest master, the greatest guide to humanity, and we are his followers. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. South Africa needs the expertise and the input of the Muslim community. There's no doubt about it, Maulana. And if we play our cards right, the future for South Africa is bright. Yes, there's obstacles. Yes, we are fully aware of the difficulties facing the country. But if we use opportunities that are created and take the message of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to South Africans, the future is bright. For example, Maulana, whether you're a minister, whether you're a lawyer or a judge, whether you're a student or a housewife, use opportunities to carry the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to our fellow South Africans. For example, if I'm invited on Monday to talk about the rights of women in Soweto, and I say I'm a cabinet minister, or a mayor or a councillor, I must use that opportunity to give that speech and also take a verse from the Holy Quran and take a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding women's rights. And one of the most powerful, profound statements made by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is, paradise lies at the feet of your mother. Imagine the impact that will have in a place, whether it's Soweto, whether it's Khayelitsha, whether it's Kenton, or whether it's Lenasia. I must come to a Maulana. For example, I must phone you, Maulana, and say, look, Maulana, I'm giving a speech on human rights, for example.
Yes.
And use a verse from the Holy Quran and a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on human rights. In this way, if Muslims do it on a concerted basis, the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will resonate throughout the country.
Okay.
People will buy into it. And from one's experience and interaction with non-Muslims, white, black, non-Muslims generally, when you take the name and you say the Prophet Muhammad said this, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, their eyes actually open and they listen. So the ball is in our court as Muslims. If we want to make this a country prosperous and blessed with the mercies of Allah, as Muslims we have to play our cards properly, and inshallah there's a reason for optimism.
Indeed.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Farouk from Bedford View saying that Islam emphasizes optimism. So his answer to that question, are you optimistic about the future of South Africa? Are you positive about the future of this country? Are you genuinely worried? I know Professor Adam Habib has written something this week. Other analysts have said that the signs are very worrisome and that we seem to be, obviously everybody would wish for the best. But wishing for the best is one thing. There's nobody would wish for the worst unless they were, a few screws short upstairs. Everybody would wish for the best. But are we likely to be moving in the positive direction, or are the signs all bad? Are you optimistic about the future of this country? I suppose in many ways the question could be asked, if not, what are you still doing there? But that's not a totally fair question, isn't it? Because you may not be optimistic about the future of this country, but then again, you may not be optimistic about the future of most countries. So that's why you're not going. Because some people try and get a bit cheeky. And they would say, well, if you're not optimistic about the future of South Africa, there's the airport. Nobody's holding your hand. Take a flight and go to Australia, and take a flight and go wherever you want to go, and live a life there. The number to dial, we would like to interact with you on this question, 011 086 7777. 011 086 7777. What's your answer? Are you positive about the future of this country? Are you optimistic about the future of this country? And why? If you say yes, I want to know why. If you say no, I want to know why. I would also like to get an understanding, because look, people are opinionated, and so they should be. We don't expect people to be dumb, and people not to have opinions, and people not to have brains, and not to use their brains, and not to have intelligence. But sometimes what I wonder about is how people come to their opinions, to their conclusions. That's important. You see, the process, the factors, the criteria, if you, for example, say you are not positive about the future of this country, fine. That's a position. But how did you come to that conclusion? What are the factors that you looked at? What is the criteria that you apply? How did you judge South Africa to be able to come to that conclusion? There's a lot that we can learn in terms of the criteria that people use, in terms of the factors that people look at, in terms of how the process that people utilize to come to a decision on such questions. It's important, isn't it? Because you cannot live in this country but not be affected by what's happening in this country. Forget about it. It's impossible. It's impossible. You cannot live in a country without, in some way or the other, you can mitigate and you can try and fortify yourself and protect yourself against negative. Indeed, it goes south. But in the end of the day, if this country takes a turn for the worst, everyone suffers. Those who voted ANC, those who voted DA, those who are interested in politics, those who are not interested in politics, everyone suffers. So it's important that we have an interest in how these things develop. We apply our minds. We must know why we are optimistic and then how to build on that, why we are pessimistic and how to turn that around. You see, this kind of discussion, this kind of engagement, this kind of discourse is pivotal. Instead of only talking about cricket, or instead of only talking about soccer and rugby every time we meet and socialize over a weekend or a long weekend, let's have these constructive discussions. Let's not get all hot under the collar. Hey, how can you vote DA? What is verkeerd met jou? How can you vote DA? Don't you know about Palestine? Hey, how can you vote the ANC? They are so corrupt. No, that kind of childish, petty kind of arguments that sometimes takes place between family members, that's not helpful. Okay, you think the future of this country is in the DA, you think the future of this country is in the ANC, you think the bang lot of them must go and the future of the country is somewhere else. Let us know. What are your thoughts? The number to dial, 011 086 7777. I'm taking a different tack today, right? Last week's question and the question throughout the 4 discussions that we had in Ramadan was more on a spiritual note. This is more on a political note, but this is still a religious question. I mean, yes, let's not forget that our deen and our religion is not only about performing salah in the masjid. Our deen and our religion is not only about paying your zakah and keeping your fast and going for hajj and discharging your charity. No. Our deen has to do also with the well-being of the country that you live in. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Hubbul watani min al-iman. To have love for the country where you reside, that is part of iman, that is part of faith. Okay, the lines are open, people. 011 086 7777. The question this evening, it's a simple question, it's a straightforward question. Are you optimistic? Are you positive about the future of South Africa, about the future of this country? And all I'm asking is for you to say yes or no. That's the first part. And the second part, to tell me why. It's not about me agreeing with you or disagreeing with you, or any of the viewers agreeing with you or disagreeing with you. It's not about that. It's absolutely not about that. It's simply about trying to understand why people feel the way they feel. You may agree with the person's answer. If he says, yes, I'm positive about the future of this country, you may agree with that, but you may not agree with his reasoning. You may disagree with his answer, but you may agree with his reasoning, but you may analyze those factors differently. So these are key things, and this is our country. It's our country. We shouldn't feel that, I'm not considered to be indigenous or that. It's our country. We've been living here. We are residents of this country. We hold passports in this country. We hold ID books of this country. We should consider ourselves part of this country, and we should treat it as our own. We're going to go for a quick hadith break, but I remind you, the lines are open, 011 086 7777. Are you optimistic about the future of South Africa? That's the question I'm asking you on this open line. Please call.
عن أبي عبد الله النعمان بن بشير رضي الله عنهما قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إن الحلال بين وإن الحرام بين وبينهما أمور مشتبهات لا يعلمهن كثير من الناس فمن اتقى الشبهات فقد استبرأ لدينه وعرضه ومن وقع في الشبهات وقع في الحرام كالراعي يرعى حول الحمى يوشك أن يرتع فيه ألا وإن لكل ملك حمى ألا وإن حمى الله محارمه ألا وإن في الجسد صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب.
Welcome back. 011 086 7777. That's the number to call. The question this evening: are you optimistic about the future of South Africa? Are you positive about the future of this country? I know in the last few weeks the lines have been up and down. It works and it doesn't work. Sometimes I think the callers are not calling, and then afterwards I realize and I'm told that they were calling in, but we had some technical problem. There's some issue that the technicians are struggling to get to the bottom of, but it does work and then it doesn't work. We already had the brother coming in from Bedford View. So if you're calling and you're not getting through, just carry on trying. Inshallah, at some point you will be able to get through. But I understand that inshallah it shouldn't be too much of a problem, and that it should work in due course. So carry on trying on 011 086 7777. What are your thoughts? How do you go about deciding? Okay, let's take 2 steps back. Let's just be honest with ourselves for the time being. Do we even think about these things? Do we even think about these things? And I'm not being too critical, right? I'm not being too harsh. I understand. People have a lot of stress, a lot of pressure in their lives. So their understanding, or their interest rather, let me rephrase that, their interest in the country is very superficial. It's about what they hear in the media. Oh, okay, today there was a bit of a ding-dong between Malema and Zuma in Parliament. Okay, fine. Zuma, is an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. People talk like that. But why? How many of us actually go deep into it and apply our minds and have a considered opinion with regards to what is having a country? Not just an opinion that goes with the flow, an opinion that's in tune with the rhetoric, an opinion that, that's popular. No. Let's go to our caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam, Maulana. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Where are you calling from?
Maulana, yeah, I'm calling from Victoria, but like to remain anonymous.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead.
Maulana, I think it's a very, firstly, compliments the good program.
Jazakumullah.
Like you rightly said, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, when you are living in a country, you've got to love that country. Yes, we've got a lot of problems in our country, but we've got to ask ourselves the question, that living as a Muslim in South Africa, are we able to being a Muslim? Are the ladies have been or humiliated wearing the hijab?
Brother, you're breaking up a little bit. Can you just move? Just move a little bit. The line's cutting there. Okay, talk to me. I can hear you now.
Look, I think what we've got to be blessed, and we've got to appreciate that we are fair among compared to Muslim other countries.
Unfortunately, brother, I'm going to have to let you go there because the line is quite bad. But I think I got the gist of what you're saying. What we enjoy as Muslims in this country is much more than other Muslims enjoy. And that's a reason for us to be optimistic going forward. Let's go to the next caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam, Maulana.
Is that Yusuf Bhai from Port Shepstone?
Yes, Yusuf Bhai from Port Shepstone.
I made out the voice, eh?
How are you, Maulana?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. How was your Ramadan and Eid and everything went well?
Allah Pak accept our broken ibadat.
Ameen, ameen, ameen.
And take us safely into the Hajj months.
Ameen.
With Kabuliyat, inshallah.
Ameen. Are you positive about the future of South Africa, Yusuf Bhai?
Well, Maulana, we are in the 21st year of our democracy. If truth be told, Maulana, and we put our hand on our heart, we get a sinking feeling that with the answer that nothing has changed, Maulana. If anything, we find ourselves deeper into an abyss of corruption, not from the lower echelon of society, but right from the top. Conversely, Maulana, with all these mineral resources at our disposal, our economy is sliding into a recession, with the poor becoming poorer and a handful of individuals reaping rich rewards through bribes and handshakes. Crime is rampant, Maulana, and unchecked, with our country displaying brutality beyond belief. Unemployment is rife and contributing factor in the crime rate. You see, the worst scenario, Maulana, is the job market. One has to be of the right color to attain. When I say the worst scenario, that is you attain in the job market. And today, with qualified individuals are being overlooked, and in place all sectors, people with proper no knowledge are in key positions. My gut feeling, Maulana, is that this great country to become a breadbasket and financial capital of Africa need a mindset of change from taking the hand away from the cookie jar and stretching the hand towards conciliation with the citizens who have the ability to run the country to the glory of it actually deserves.
Right.
And because we have the ability, Maulana, but we are the worst enemies, Maulana, of ourselves.
Yusuf, there are people who may be listening to what you have said and they would say, look, we agree with everything you said, but perhaps we can't say that nothing has changed. The amount of people who didn't have homes, who now have, there are still many more who don't, but there are those who didn't, who do. The same with electricity, the same with education, the fact that we don't have apartheid as a state policy. Obviously, we still have issues of racism to deal with as a country. Some may say that's not enough progress, but it is some progress, and we need to acknowledge that. Your thoughts, Yusubai, quickly?
Let me tell you something, Maulana, and I don't mean it to a degradation of anyone at all. But if they tell me statistics say that 27% of people are unemployed at the moment, that is not the truth, Maulana. There are 40% over people that are unemployed who are in the employment market seeking jobs. You see, all right, you tell me that water has been piped to many places and all. But money that should be spent well into the market, into the poorer, is not going to where it's supposed to go. We can't live on promises, Maulana. We got to live on facts.
Right.
And the facts on the market is that we got to give people what they want.
Now, very insightful comments and always backed up with strong facts. Yusubai, Jazakumullah for that call. Much appreciated.
You have a nice evening.
You too. Assalamu alaikum wa
Allah
rahmatullah.
be with you.
Ameen. Yes, that's Yusubai's thoughts, and there are many who feel that way. There are others who would feel that, yes, a lot of what he said in their own right is correct about corruption, etc., but that's not sufficient a reason to be pessimistic about the future. But he's been very clear. South Africa, according to him, could be well on its way to becoming, a banana republic of sorts. What are your thoughts? Are you optimistic about the future of South Africa? Are you positive about the future of South Africa? The number to dial, 011 086 7777. We have a few minutes before we wrap up, and I would like to hear from one or two other viewers as to what their perspective is, what their thoughts are, what their views are. It would be interesting. It's not a discussion that you can do justice to, once off. I mean, in half an hour or 22 minutes or 25 minutes. You can have 5-hour discussion. You still won't be able to do justice to it. And it's not my intention to do justice to it. My intention is just to remind people that it's a question we need to ask ourselves. After this program, you have a long weekend. You have some time to yourself. Digest the question and unpack it. Answer it for yourself. Let's go to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Yes, walaikum.
Yeah, okay. Let's try this time, brother. Let's see if we can hear you.
Yes. Now? Hello?
Yes, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah. I understand previous caller wrong. But I got to look at it positively. The Muslim, and you believe you've got to be.
No, I'm sorry, brother from Pretoria. There's something wrong. I don't know if it's on our side. I don't know if it's on your side. But it's cutting. I can hardly make out a word of what you're saying. And I'm sure the viewers also will not be able to make out a word of what you're saying. I'm appreciative of the fact that we've managed to take a few calls. I don't know these technical gremlins, what happened to the other calls, but not a problem. The lines are open, 011 086 7777. We have a few minutes left before we wrap up this evening's program. And it's a discussion that will come up in future programs in different ways, either in the form of caller interaction or in the form of us talking with guests in studio and asking them their perspective on issues. If you're optimistic, why are you optimistic? We had a caller from Bedford View telling us why he was optimistic. We had a caller from Port Shepstone, Yusuf Bai, contributed to the program, regular contributor to the program, telling us why he was pessimistic. Maybe people are just more optimistic today because it's a long weekend, right? Everybody's happy and everybody's just a bit chilled out and a bit more relaxed. Let's try one more time with Pretoria. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Yes, walaikum. And Mulana, yes, I'm optimistic country.
Yeah.
Because first, Muslim, you've got to believe in Allah, you've got to be optimistic. I believe, as a Muslim country, you are treated well. So many other where Muslims serve as where they're living in this. And what?
I really am going to apologize. I don't know what's happening in Pretoria this evening. But anyway, it brings us close to the end of the program for this evening. I would like to wish you a good Friday evening, a great weekend, and an even better long weekend. Just remember one thing. Let me conclude on this note. And this discussion, as I said, this question: are you optimistic about the future of the country? If yes, why? If no, why? Think about it. Think about it. You have an obligation to think about it. As a Muslim, as a citizen of this country, you have an obligation to think about it. It's not only for politicians, it's not only for analysts, it's not only for those who have a deep interest in politics. To wrap up the show, I want to conclude on this note. Remember that you are a Muslim, even on a Friday night, even on a Saturday, even on a Sunday, and even on a Monday when it's a public holiday. When you're at home, or even if you're at the resort or beach or somewhere, you've gone out for a long weekend, you are still a Muslim. And you are obligated to Allah like any other time. And Allah is watching like any other time. Don't forget that. Remember that. From myself, Sulaiman Ravit, until Allah is decreed for us to meet again, if Allah is decreed, fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
فاستنهضي همما فالمسجد الأقصى ما زال يدعونا ندي على الفتية الأحرار في زمن أضحى به الحق بالخذلان مدفونا فبالجهاد بنى الإسلام قوته وهل لغير القوي الناس يصغونا رباه هيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا فأنت من بالتقى والدين يهدينا أدعوك يا أمتي فاستنهضي همما فالمسجد الأقصى ما زال